Hello, everyone from the cold and rainy Johannesburg, South Africa. It's Shamila Ramjawan. My guest is Dr. Udit Raj, who is in Delhi, India. And I have the pleasure of chatting to him today on his wedding anniversary. Congratulations, Dr. Raj and Mrs. Raj.
Thank you.
I wish
Thank you so much.
everything of the best.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Dr. Raj is a national spokesperson for the Congress and a member of parliament from 2014 to 2019. Hello, Dr. Raj. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm very
Johannesburg, cold? The weather is cold over there?
Yes, we have a bit of rain, so it's a bit cold, but it's bearable. It's beautiful weather.
It's hotter here. In Delhi is hot.
I know. I love Delhi. I'm so waiting for travel to be open again so we can visit everybody and really want to visit you as well.
Very soon you will have here. I think it will take 2-3 more months to get the situations ease all over the globe.
Yes, I think so too. Absolutely. We can only pray and hope for the best. Dr. Raj, I know you. Do you want to tell our audience a little bit about you, your background, family?
See, let me tell you that I was born in a village and very, very primitive village, which was not connected with electricity and road and no piped water. And that was in Allahabad district. Now it is known as Prayagraj. And my father was a small time farmer. Before that, he was in the Indian Army. And my mother was a completely housewife. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And my studies were done in a rural area. And then I studied partly in Jawaharlal Nehru University, that is the premier institution in the country. And since I had no economic support, I used to take tuitions for my to finance myself. I was compelled to write for civil services, and I got selected in Indian Revenue Service, that is a coveted service in the country, in 88 batch exam. And then the first posting as Assistant Commissioner Income Tax was done in 90. And I continued in the job till 2003, and then quit from the post of Additional Commissioner of Income Tax. So this is a small introduction, and was born in such a condition that very rarely people of that background they reach. And secondly, the most important is that Indian society is a very hierarchical society, stratified society, and broadly it is divided into 4 categories. Top are on the Brahmins, and next to them are Kshatriyas, and third ladder down the world are backwards, and untouchables are on bottom. So I'm from the stock of untouchables. Those days untouchability was there, and education was very, very meager among untouchables. And for 1,000 years, maybe say about 2005 years, they have been segregated, discriminated, deprived of education, and they could not touch the so-called upper caste. Touching them upper caste, they would become impure. So untouchability. Uh, Still untouchability is there. Of course, there was a time when, of course, untouchability was much deeper. Like racism on the basis of color is there, and apartheid is there, but untouchability is worse than apartheid. So I was born in an untouchable family.
Wow, that is so interesting. So, do you still have the caste factor in India? Is it still like that?
Still it is there. If not, it is physical, then it is mental over there. Anyone, if he is a Hindu, if by name you can know who is a Christian, who is a Muslim, but among Hindus it's very difficult to know by name. So unless until the full identity is revealed, uh, to whom you are interacting, for instance, that two people are traveling together or they meet, they are unknown, they get introduced to each other, and both will be interested to know about each other, that which caste belongs to whom, or which caste belongs to. And unless until the caste identity is revealed, the introduction will never be complete. There are exceptions. In cities, those who are educated are those who are exposed to the Western education better, and they believe in the concept of liberty, equality, fraternity. They are above this. Otherwise, still, it is there. But in cities, not it is a physical, but it is a mental. But in villages, you go to the villages, you will find that in a village, you will find that uh, habitats of different castes are situated at a different places. So mixing is not there. Very rarely you will find that there are mixing. Otherwise, one belongs to this B caste, C caste, three caste, B, C, D, like that. So that is the character and structure of Indian society. Of course, we are very hypocrite. We don't recognize, and caste system is spiritually justified. In other religion, discrimination is not much spiritually backed, but here it has been backed by metaphysical interpretation, religious scriptures, and all. That is a very horrible situation. It is portrayed all over the world, or it is presented in a way that, of course, it is our way of life. This is how the system has survived, should survive. Each should do his business or her business, her occupation, for instance, who's in tannery or leather, it has to be done by that caste. A person who's into blacksmith, that caste is known as a blacksmith, like a lohar, and then washerman, the person who washes the cloth. This work is assigned to that caste only, and they are known by that occupation. So that is how. Now, of course, there is a change of occupation also, and Brahmins are to recite the hymns, and they are to give the education, and the Kshatriyas are to defend the country and run the administration. They don't have to do anything with the cultivation, production, and market and economy, etc., like that. So that is how has been structured.
Okay, so you think it's just going to stay like that? Because I think it's just the norm now in India.
No, of course, there is so much of frustration. And India, is a backward, and now uh, uh, as far as growth is concerned, now it is at the 164th position out of 193 countries in the world, and per capita income is very small. So the main reason I find is that uh, uh, human resources are not being tapped because they are captured in their ghetto or in their caste, and that's why this talent is not properly cultivated and utilized. So underutilization is there, and then of course there is a gender separation, that labor force participation rate of women is about just 20%, whereas the population is about 50%. So, uh, almost half of the population, that is a female women population, is fed. Uh, they by socially or by religious sanctions, they are not given an opportunity to participate in health services, agricultural activities, uh, and economy, etc. So what happened that it's a wastage of talent, wastage of human resources. That country has to be poor. That's why the country is very poor.
What is so interesting for me is, how did you get into politics?
See, the politics is one of the ways to uh, help uh, help more, promote the cause. It's a power, and through power you can help a lot. And of course, economic power is also there, but political power is supreme. And of course, we cannot have economic power, but our number is higher, population is higher. That suits me to go into politics. In business also, there is a caste system, but it operates in hidden form when will not notice, but it's a difficult that other caste people are allowed to jump into any particular trade, and it's a hidden in a hidden way that all hindrances are created. So in politics, advantage is that if you have a number on your side, then of course you have a power, you have a support. Your voice is heard.
Yes. Well, I was there, a few times visiting you, and you hosted me at your house as well. Thank you so much for that. We really had an amazing time. And I saw your followers, and I see how people respect you, and I see the amount of help that you actually give them. So well done on that. But just going back to your political career, you ended as Member of Parliament in 2019. What have you done after that?
What is your question?
So your political career as Member of Parliament was from 2014 to 2019. From 2019 to now, have you still been very involved in the communities?
Yes, 2019, of course, before that also the party in which I was there as a Member of Parliament was never comfortable, and they are kind of fascist forces, and they believe in status quo, and they believe in Hindu Rashtra. in the sense that only Hindus can rule, rest should be ruled to be ruled. And of course, in that philosophy and in their objective, the target is that the backward communities, untouchables, they are deprived of their rights, and they are made to serve the so-called upper caste. And of course, this is the latent objective, but obviously, openly they will not say it. And jobs were going on where there were no jobs, and Hindu Muslims, and then all kind of hatred against each other, and lies, and human rights were being curbed, and still, of course, are being curbed more and more. So that was the reason that I quit that party. I'm now in Indian National Congress Party, but at the same time, more I'm devoting for the cause of the lower caste. They need, and of course, as a spokesperson of Congress, time to time, I have to speak on behalf of the party, and the Congress party has been the only party in this country after the independence could do a lot of welfare activities, could build up democratic institutions. Now democratic institutions are being demolished, and that is the worry of today. So we are very worried about it, and what should be worried about it? And it's going in a Hitler way, and the freedoms are being curbed, choices are being denied.
Wow. Dr. Raj, COVID-19 has affected the entire world. How did it affect you?
It definitely affected to all of us, and it affected more to our economy. And our GDP is minus 24%. That is the worst perform. Ours is the worst performing economy in the world. It was not properly managed. See, today the year has been completed when the lockdown was suddenly declared. Say, about midnight, the Prime Minister of the country declared the lockdown from the morning. Just was given the gap of 4 or 5 hours. So everything was stuck up. Perishable items were destroyed, and finished products were also destroyed, and people who were shelterless, or those who were laborers who were on the field, they stuck up over there, and millions they suffered, and hundreds of them died. So that is how the economy was thrown to the dogs. It has done very bad, and by 2025, this is the International Monetary Fund report that India will be even poorer than Bangladesh by 2025. So whereas one time India economy was in top 10 or top 5, 10 as far as growth rate was concerned, but now the growth rate is in minus. And China too had, of course, COVID and other countries, but most of the countries do not have a minus growth rate, but our growth rate is in minus.
That is very sad, and we're hoping that it's going to pick up in every country except China. I mean, China's been supplying the PPE, so I think they're still okay financially in terms of economic growth. But Dr. Raj, just going back to your passion in empowering people, empowering women, I belong to your WhatsApp group where you continuously empower women and just create these networking opportunities. How did that start?
See what happened, I feel there are two major issues in this country. Gender separation. Gender discrimination one thing. And gender discrimination is not big problem as compared to gender separation. What happened is that as per spiritual belief and spiritual scripture, women are supposed to maintain the house. They are supposed to take care of their husbands. Going out of the home, they would be violating so-called our uh, traditions and customs. So you will find that women are mostly they are at home. Even in Delhi, of course, that does not reflect the country's full character. But if you go to countryside, you will see that very few women outside and only men all over. So what happened that it is abnormal growth. It's not a normal growth, abnormal growth. And that's why there is a lot of sexual violences and assaults because relationship is not normal. And of course, even in Muslim countries also, I will say that that relation is also not normal. One, they are asked to be in burqa, so away from the male, that relationship is also not a normal. But here, our position is more contradictory. At least over there, it's completely spiritually biased. That women should not, body should not be visible to men when even outside. But in our country, it's a very heterogeneous culture and lot of diversities we have. So some women are very modern, some are semi-modern, and majority of them are. So what happened that in different way, very diverse way of conducting themselves, living is very diverse, etc. So a lot of repression is there. So repression, abnormality is there. That's why whenever men they get opportunity, they are alone or they find opportunity, they try to exploit them, or try to pass the comment them, or they stare at them as if they are strangers or they are aliens. That's how this is. That is why a lot of crimes are taking place.
Well, thank you for the group. Thank you for the WhatsApp group, and you manage it very well, I must say.
Yes. No. But what happened is that, let me conclude. That's why what group is a small endeavor of mine, but I really do at larger scale. In my organization, when I led my own political party, that was Indian Justice Party. So then, of course, I see that when I was at command, that girls and boys have a full freedom, full choice to move, interact, etc. But no separate code of conduct were applied to them. And now I'm in a bigger party. But apart from, in addition to that, I have my social organization, that is Confederation. There I try to promote a lot. It's to serve the humanity, to serve the country, that unless until they have liberty, they have a freedom, they have a choice, their personality will not boost, and they will not be good performance, they will not contribute, they cannot make a better society, good society. It will be a suffocated society. So every person should do. And plus my exposure to the Western countries, I have learned a lot from there, that how if they have done well, then of course these inhibitions of mixing were allowed, inhibitions were not there, and opportunities were there. So unless such opportunities are there, you cannot cultivate the talent also.
Wow, amazing. Well, you're doing such amazing work, and I know that you're doing lots more there in India. I'm hoping to visit you soon. But thank you so much for that. But before you go, I just want to find out from you, how are the rape stats now? Because we in South Africa, we know that Delhi's got the highest rape incidence in the world. Has that just increased, or has it reduced in any way? Is there anything been done about that?
You see what happened. Rape, when rape happens, it is definitely a painful. In our society, it is linked to the purity and chastity, honor of woman. Once woman is raped or sexually assault is done to her, whole life she will be looked down upon, and she will suffer the stigma. So that is more painful. That's the difference between our country. That
Yes.
she has become useless, worthless, and whereas it is not at fault, it's the man who is at fault, but who suffers finally? Woman suffers. She is
Yes.
isolated. She is commented. And some people even say that because maybe she was at fault. Some people will say that in the past life she must have been uh, devil or whatever it is. And the action of the past life is cause for this suffering. That is the worst part. The worst is that. So 10 minutes, 1 hour, or a day or two, if she is exalted, that is somehow painful. But more painful is that her honor is gone.
Yes.
As if her character, her honor, her generosity, her ability, her compassionate nature is in 2 inches space in the body.
Yes.
And her education, quality, everything is gone.
Yes.
That is the worst. So that is the case. That is what happened here in our country. In other society, in Western society, rape happens, then they lead a normal life, and sometimes they even count incident part of their struggle for growth or for a purpose. So I've seen that many celebrities, when they reach to the height, they mention that it had happened with me while I was struggling. So they count it as a part of struggle. Here it is stigma. Characterless, honor is gone, worthless, not marriageable, and parasite, not worth to leave the society. Everybody, people will hate, people will comment. That is the worst.
Yes, but I think, Dr. Raj, it's the same with women across the world. It is women would actually go through exactly the same thing as any other woman in any country. So, it is quite a big thing to be raped. It's like you said, it's.
I differ. There is a difference. I've seen many celebrities when they become Miss World or they reach to the peak of their career. They themselves reveal, but in our country they cannot.
Okay.
There is a difference. There is a difference.
That is really sad though, because they've got to live with that.
Huh?
Your last words to people out there watching, what advice would you give to people? It's International Women's Month, or yeah, what would you say to women out there?
Yesterday there was a small function. The group tried to convey the message that in next life would like to born as a female or girl. So females are beautiful, best human on the earth, but there is injustice and morals which have been formed are mainly by men. Men have structure, given a social structure, that how to conduct themselves or how not. So that they should defy, and they should have freedom. They should have a choice. As men have freedom and choice, similarly, they also have to fight for it. And unless they fight for it, I don't think that anybody else is going to change their destiny and their fate. This is the last. This is the message which I would like to give. That I would say that the life is once, and those who say there is a hell and heaven, I haven't seen anyone coming from hell and heaven and giving the details what is there. So there is one life. And of course, 5 years till 5 years, one is a child, and then after that, struggle for education up to 25, 20, 30 years. Then of course, goes for family. Only 3-4 years life is left to enjoy. So all throughout. So why to waste this life?
Yes, yes.
Why to be shy? Why to be afraid of? They must accept the challenge. They must dare it. They must break the chain if chains are there. This is what I would say, that they should come forward.
Lovely. I love that message. That's the way we're going to end. Dr. Udit Raj, thank you so much for chatting to me on the Red Corner Show. I wish you everything of the best and all the best for the anniversary celebration as well. Please convey my love to Mrs. Raj and take care. God bless, and we'll see you soon.
I'll do. Certainly, see you soon in India. Of course, we are in touch through social media. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Bye.